Alright, so for this one we are going to work on surfaces. So what I basically have here is a mass made of surfaces, and I've used those surfaces to create a divided roof, and I've placed some louvers on this divided surface, and then I've placed an attractor with a rotated sort of circle piece on it on these guys. And so we're going to start from scratch to create this. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick this guy and delete it. And let's look at the file just to be clear where we are. If I go to my south elevation, you're going to see that I have the trellis plan A and 2 like we have in our file. And I also have the Doyle plans, but I also have the pavilion plans. Right, so here's a pavilion top, and then there'll be a pavilion bottom down here. And I could come over here and like pick this guy and turn that pavilion plan A2 on there. And then if I tab and get down to that guy, I could turn it on over here so we could see it a little bit more clearly. So that's what we're going to be working with, are these levels. So if I close that elevation, I'm going to start by creating a mass family and just actually making some model lines and extruding them and then playing with them a little bit. I'll post a video that sort of goes through this process more specifically if you're interested in that. But I want to host it on the pavilion level and on the trellis level and join those two. So I'm going to close my hidden windows and go to my site plan and window tile so we can kind of see in 2D and 3D what I'm doing. So if I come over here, make that a little bigger. So over here in my site plan, I'm going to go to Architecture Component, Model in Place, and I'm going to pick a mass. I'm going to click OK. It's going to turn the Show Mass mode on, which is great, and I'm just going to say Surface. Click OK. And I'm going to come to Model instead of Reference. I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to set the reference level at Pavilion Plan A1, so that's going to put it right down there. I'm going to make sure that Drawn Work Plane is current and 3D Snapping is off, so it will host to that level. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to draw a rectangle, and then I'm going to stop the rectangle command by going to Modify, and I'm going to tab select one of those, and I want to change the distance, and unfortunately it's giving me a distance to a grid line, but you can always move that temporary distance by picking that little blue dot. I'm just going to make that 40, and then I'll do the same thing for this guy, right? That one's 48, so I'll make it 40. So I'm just going to start out with a 40 by 40 square. And then I'll come over in 3D to do this. I'll tab select, and I'll go to Create Form. And it's just going to, whoops, just missed. Let's go ahead and window around all of those, and let's create form. So it creates sort of that solid cube. And you can come in and change this if you want it to be higher. We could make it, 25 feet or whatever. And you can also adjust them later. Now I'm going to come back over to my site plan, zoom in over here, and I'm going to make another box right here, model rectangle, and I'm going to set that plane at the trellis plan A1. Come over here and just make another box. Okay, well that's a rectangle, and you can see it over here. If I select that, you can see that it's telling me that it's on host level trellis. If you want to flip it around, you can actually select it and go to this pull down and flip it to different levels. I'm just going to go to Create Form. It's all selected, and it creates that form. And let's say we want this one to be lower, so I'll make it 12 feet. Okay. Now I want to join this cube face with that one and blend them together. Now if you want to, you can actually align the edges. So for example, the Align command right here, I can align with this edge, that edge. I can align with that edge, right? So now they're both completely even. You can do what you like. All right, now that I have them, I'm going to maximize my 3D view. And I'm going to blend these two faces together. And to do that, in the mass mode and the generic model adaptive, you can come in and pick a face. So I just tab selected in and left clicked. And then I'm going to hover and tap my tab key until the one is highlighted that I want. Select Control to add and left click. So I have both of these selected at the same time. Then I'm just going to go to Create Form, and Revit's going to blend those two together. So now I have that sort of blended form. Now when I get back, we'll divide the surface and kind of play around with the form a little bit.